Donald Trump in our first story, Media Watch. James, how are you, sir?
Very well, thanks, Mark.
Donald Trump's been tweeting, no surprise there. His latest tweet, though, controversial, and he erased it, but not before people got a good look and then obviously picked it apart.
So the question is, what's going on here? He's retweeting, and then his people, or he is unretweeting. It's not the first time it's happened. The message gets out, and then it's kind of said, you know, oh, we never said this. So the official line from the White House is that it was accidental, that this didn't, the retweet was an accident. But actually it takes 2 clicks to retweet. In other words, you have to be pretty careless to accidentally retweet, or you're doing it on purpose.
Can we see this tweet?
All right, so the retweet that got the most, because there was more than one, was this. It shows a Trump train bashing into CNN. Now, we know
this,
that,
of course, just 4 days after a white supremacist ran his car into a group of people, counter-protesters, at that protest in Charlottesville.
And that hasn't escaped the attention of a lot of people on Twitter. One person who retweeted the, how would you say, shared the erased retweet, said, every member of Congress must condemn the president for posting a picture of a vehicle striking a reporter after terrorists used a vehicle to kill a woman.
That seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it?
It does. So perhaps this had escaped Donald Trump's attention, the fact that there was this unfortunate sort of image parallel, and that's why it was retweeted.
Do you believe that? It's hard to believe, isn't it?
What I would say is, you know, if you want to say something without saying it, then you say it and say you never said it.
Yeah, maybe.
And there is, I mean, this is just a theory, but for example, in France, you have the Canard enchaîné newspaper, you have all of these leaks. So it's a way for politicians to say something without saying it. And retweeting and then undoing the retweet is potentially a similar technique. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it was an accident, who knows. In any case,
rather crass though, isn't it?
Well, in July, he also shared an image of himself wrestling a person with the CNN logo superimposed on his head. So there is this constant targeting of certain media, such as quote unquote the failing New York Times, quote unquote the fake news CNN. It's a constant motif.
And those epithets basically stand for they don't agree with him or they've criticised him. That's how it pans out.
And actually, This we could go a lot further on this, because there's an advertisement that the re-election committee for Donald Trump wanted to have aired on CNN yesterday. It wasn't aired because it showed CNN anchors and a whole sort of motif in the advertisement, sort of criticising those anchors, portraying. In any case, it showed the faces of these journalists and the words attacking our president.
I think I've seen this as like a mosaic of all these various news people who will have criticised Trump, said things against Trump. None of us are involved in this, I hasten to add, and you see some people who are quite visibly CNN staff.
Right.
Yeah,
That's it. So one would understand perhaps why CNN didn't want to air that, because it was now.
It might not be true. They might just be doing their jobs, mightn't they? That's the other aspect of this, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now,
and they are, I think.
In the same series of tweets, early morning tweets, there was what The Guardian has called an erratic early morning retweet, including one calling Donald Trump a fascist. So an individual on Twitter said he's a fascist. Donald Trump then retweeted that. Now, what is the logic, if any, behind that? Here's what some might say. First of all, it's a mistake. It was erased. That's one theory. Another is, by retweeting people who are criticising him on social media, you could argue that it's a form of intimidation. I'm watching you. You're saying nasty things about me. I'm going to give a big echo to that might discourage others from saying nasty things about me, although that's not actually happening, seeing as people are still being very critical of him. Anyway, Michael Holden didn't know what hit him. Dear God, he said on Twitter. Then he said, I'm announcing my retirement from Twitter. I'll never top this retweet. So I think he didn't quite expect.
See what he's put there.
He didn't quite expect.
Mike Holden, officially endorsed by the President of the United States. I wish that were a good thing. That's what he's put on his Twitter profile.
You got to be careful these days. Now, in the midst of all this, right, retweeting, deleting retweets, you have Barack Obama, who, in the aftermath of what happened in Charlottesville, tweeted this. It's a quote from Nelson Mandela: "No one is born hating another person because of the colour of his skin or his background or his religion." Now, that has been retweeted, and it has become the second most retweeted tweet in history.
How many retweets?
It's in the millions.
In the millions.
Just when I put it up on the computer there earlier, it was over 1 million. Just for information, that topped Ellen DeGeneres' infamous selfie at the Oscars from 2014. Can you believe that's 2014? I can't believe that's 3 years ago now. And the most retweeted tweet in history is Ariana Grande after the Manchester.
Quite right too.
There you go. So we had other things to talk about, but that's just a focus on Donald Trump retweeting and undoing his retweets. and Barack Obama just tweeting and becoming
And
massive.
it went into the millions.
That's it.
Yeah, I think
Perhaps
my best was about 1,000 for that one in 2011 when I said Neymar would go to Paris Saint-Germain.
Right,
and then
okay.
eventually happened. But that was in 2011, and it's been retweeted since.
And it's not controversial. It's not controversial.
Not at all. James, thank you very much indeed.